One Christmas Eve evening, I could not sleep a wink. I dwelled on my presents, too many to think. I started to wonder about Santa so great, and then I remembered I'd made a mistake. On every child's table, placed right by the tree, was a tall glass of milk and a cookie times 3. But it slipped my mind. I must have forgot, and Santa would see, leaving coal in my sock. I had to act fast. It was 3:45. I climbed out of bed and crawled to the door. I slunk down the stairs from floor 2 to floor 1, and that's when I realized just what I had done. What if Santa discovered I was out of my bed? He'd leave me no presents. I know, my dad said. As I crawled through the hall, I tried not to feel fear. I kept certain to watch for a sleigh and some deer. I snuck past my parents. What were they doing up? I snuck into the kitchen and pulled out a cup. I poured up some milk, grabbed some cookies to boot. I got so excited, I let out a toot. My parents were listening to Elvis the King. They also were building a bright-colored plaything. Had Santa come early? Did I miss the event? Were my parents now left to scramble and sweat? The poor things had to go and buy me a present, for Santa passed by my house with resentment. I went back to bed feeling sad and conflicted. I fell right to sleep, but woke up convicted. Christmas morning was nice, the plaything was rocking, but presents were far from on my mind that morning. I decided to write to Santa so mean and tell him I disliked his coal-leaving scheme. I finished my letter after eating some ham and gave it to Mommy, who thought it a sham. "Why, you don't mean this," she said with surprise. Santa would read it, with tears in his eyes. I could not confess what I saw Christmas Eve. I asked her to trust me. Mail the letter, oh please. We wrote down the postage, North Pole House number 1. We dropped off the letter, but my mom wasn't done. She had one more letter to mail on that day. I asked where's it going, but she would not say. The season soon ended, and I forgot all about my Santa Claus letter, but have you no doubt, whenever my mom would ask what I'd like, maybe a dog or maybe a bike, I would just say, much to her chagrin, getting nothing from him to me is a win. And so the year went with little fanfare. Spring turned to summer, and then came cool air. With Thanksgiving now past, my mind turned to Christmas. How other kids soon would get granted their wishes. But I would get nothing, for I had protested. But Santa won't win, I said, he'll be bested. My mom was more subtle, but my dad couldn't mask. Surely there's something you want, he would ask. I don't want nothing from that bearded man, till he says he's sorry and shakes firm my hand. My mom would frown at me, my dad's head would shake, but I was determined to see Santa's boots quake. Not till he promised to stop leaving kids coal would I ever promise to despise him no mo. Then came the night I was not longing for. It was Christmas Eve evening, about 3:45. I was lying in bed, not a wink I had slept, when I heard a loud noise, and from my bed I then leapt. I ran down the stairs, making noise of my own, and there saw the big man standing quite all alone. He looked rather sad and yet somewhat familiar. I assumed that he worked at a mall, I remembered. He knelt to one knee and waved me on over. I walked slowly to him and looked him once over. He had in his hand a couple of letters, one in my handwriting and one in my mother's. He said, "Listen to me, I know you're upset, but you are mistaken and no need to fret. This letter you wrote to me this past year, I read it a lot, I shed a few tears. You must have me mixed up with some other Saint Nick. I haven't left coal since lights came with wicks. Did you ever find any coal in your sock?" "Well, no," I replied. "Come to think, I did not. But I left you no milk and no cookies at all. And my parents, they built my plaything, that I saw." "Well, yes, that is true." His cheeks turned to rose. "But let me tell you my side of the story you pose. Last year when I came here, yes, I came, this is true, I found here no sweets left for me here by you. But I was not mad, you must understand. I know there are many who are poor in this land. So many cannot afford milk or cookies, but that doesn't mean that I give them no goodies. Now Santa is busy and can't take much time. I have to find helpers to help me sometimes. I recruited your parents, they had lots of desire. I left them instructions, some assembly required. And so your bright plaything your parents constructed, but I dropped it off. From me they're instructed. This other letter here, Santa showed it to me, was mailed the same day from your mother to me. In it she says that you're such a sweet boy and that you are serious about refusing my toys. Now that we've straightened this whole mix-up out, what say you tell me what you want from my pouch?" He opened his bag and showed me the toys. Some were quite big and some made a loud noise. I told Santa I should not get any presents. "I don't even deserve to be in your presence." He chuckled and gave me a polar bear hug and said, "Here's a present you barely could lug." He reached in his bag and pulled out a bike. It was black, it was red, with an outside nightlight. I smiled and again we shared a big hug. And then as he rose, I gave him a tug. He said, "What's the matter? Don't you like your new bike?" I said, "Yes, but here, take with you my old trike." "Oh, Santa could never take a present from you. I only give away toys till Christmas Eve's through." "Yes, but remember what you said to me. So many can't afford any milk or cookies. So please take my trike and give it away. Find a poor boy with nothing to play." At this Santa shed another wet tear and said, "That's the spirit that I like to hear." So in my trike went, into his great big bag. He blew his nose on one of my father's rags, and then walked me back up the stairs to my room. I thought not to ask him how he knew the way. He ruffled my hair and patted my back, and then turned around and heaved his great sack. He shut my door and, I assume, he went up, out the chimney to find a poor boy to look up. I woke the next morning and my spirits were better. I jumped off my bed and started a letter. I thanked Santa for his nice visit and the bike, and said see you next year on Christmas Eve night.